The climate crisis is finally getting the traction that it needed. People across the world are organizing protests in different parts, calling upon those in power to act right now. First protest visuals on your screens are from German capital Berlin. 24 environmental activists have jumped into the chilly waters of the Spree River. The protest is against the Parliament's blocking of government-backed package to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the country. Next, protests are from Paris. The French climate protesters have blocked the entrance to a Paris shopping mall in the Black Friday demonstrations, causing tension with shoppers arriving for Black Friday sales. The demonstration, which was organized by Youth for Climate, took place at the La Défense business district at a shopping mall, and these protests are part of a wider anti-capitalist protest movement around Paris. Activists also blocked one of Amazon's warehouses in Paris to protest over production that they say is killing the planet. Greenpeace activists have staged a protest displaying a giant banner in the heart of Madrid that read, the banner says, the consumerism, climate crisis. During Black Friday, activists holding protest signs also chained themselves to different high street shops, windows which were later removed and arrested by the police. Now, the Spanish capital is set to host the UN Climate Summit of the COP25, officially starting on the 2nd of December. The event was due to take place in Chile, but was moved due to civil unrest in the country. Wion correspondent Holly Hudson is live with us from London. Good evening to you, Holly. The climate protests are taking place around the world. Are these protests finally getting the traction that they need? And are they proving to be enough to make the world leaders make the changes that the climate needs?
Well, they're particularly timely here in the UK. Obviously, they are taking place around the world. The Fridays for Future movement, of course, inspired by the teenage activist Greta Thunberg, and several hundred schools have taken part in the ones here in London and across the rest of the UK today. The country has increasingly this year become engaged in the climate debate. We've, of course, seen the emergence of Extinction Rebellion. They are talking about how these protests coincide with Black Friday. They're urging the fight against consumerism based on that link. They're trying to link the two, but also they are starting 12 days of crisis, as they call it, in the run-up to the general election. And I say timely because a climate debate took place on TV last night here in the UK on one of the biggest broadcasters, Channel 4, and a row has erupted between the Conservative Party, of which Boris Johnson is, of course, leader, and that broadcaster, Channel 4. Why? Well, because Boris Johnson did not attend this debate, and in his place, the broadcaster chose to put an ice sculpture to as what they described as a visual metaphor, which the editor said represented the emergency on planet Earth. And this was a vital debate, they said, which had made repeated invitations to Boris Johnson to attend. But in his place, the Conservative Party sent a senior cabinet minister, Michael Gove. He turned up at the studios, only to be turned away by the editor, who said that the invitation was for leaders only. And this has made the Conservatives furious. Their director of communications, Lee Kane, has sent a letter to the media regulator here, Ofcom, asking them to take action because he says that this represents bias on behalf of Channel 4. They were deprived representation in this debate, and it just is a political and partisan stunt. But of course, climate change and the climate crisis really does resonate here with voters in the UK. So the big question is how Boris Johnson, the fact that Boris Johnson did not attend this debate, will affect him in the polls. Labour have accused him of being a bully and a coward, and there are growing accusations that the Prime Minister is ducking scrutiny, not least because of this debate, but the fact he's avoided so far or failed to commit to being interviewed by the BBC's veteran broadcaster Andrew Neil, who's so far taken the other party leaders to task. So we know at the moment he is leading in the polls, but has he underestimated how much climate change will influence the opinion of voters?